When we think about comic book superheroes, there is a very specific reason artists design them the way they do.
Right, they don't start with the details.
Exactly. Before they even draw a face or, decide on the colors or sketch a logo, they draw the silhouette.
Which is all about instant recognition, really.
Yeah, I mean, if you see a scalloped cape and two pointy ears against the nighttime skyline, you instantly know exactly who that is.
It operates on this totally binary level. You don't need a label, you don't need a
You
backstory.
don't even need to see the character's face.
Right, because the physical shape itself, it just communicates the entire narrative, the tone, the identity, all of it in just a fraction of a second.
It's an unforgettable physical outline. And today, for this deep dive, we are taking that concept, that unmistakable silhouette, and applying it to something completely different.
Something a lot more grounded in the real world.
Yeah, your professional brand. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking some genuinely fascinating source material today.
Truly fascinating.
We're looking at episode 4 of a strategy document known as the Monkey Garage Playbook. And the core concept we are exploring here is titled The Character Over the Craft.
Which acts as this blueprint. It maps out how a highly specific, very gritty, real-world business model can be flawlessly translated into a modern digital ecosystem.
It really is a collision of two worlds you would just never intuitively link together.
Oh, absolutely not.
So that is our mission today. We are going to examine the kind of oil-stained success of reality TV's Fast and Loud and its founder, Richard Rawlings.
A huge personality.
Right, and we'll see how a multi-hyphenate creator named Mickey Strutt actually mapped that exact architecture onto a digital empire.
An empire rooted in industrial, techno, and cybersecurity, of all things.
I know, it's wild. But we want to discover why having a memorable or even slightly flawed character is vastly more important for your success than having a pristine, absolutely perfect craft or product.
It sounds counterintuitive, but the sources make such a strong case for it.
They really do. So as we get into this, I want you listening to just think about your own professional silhouette.
What do you look like in the dark, basically?
Yeah. What do people actually remember about you when you walk out of a room? Or, when they scroll past your profile?
Because if the only thing they can recall is they do good work, you are competing on a very crowded, very forgettable playing field.
Exactly. And to understand how to break out of that sea of sameness, we really have to start with the ultimate case study in character building.
Richard Rawlings and Gas Monkey Garage.
Yes. For anyone who might be unfamiliar, Rawlings is the founder of the Garage and the central figure of the hit Discovery Channel show Fast and Loud.
But the sources point out a detail here that fundamentally changes how you should view his business acumen.
Right, because the narrative is usually, oh, he had a shop and a TV crew found him.
Right, but that's wrong. Rawlings didn't just build a successful hot rod shop that a network stumbled upon.
He built a TV show disguised as a garage.
And that distinction is basically the structural foundation of everything we're discussing today.
And it changes everything.
It really does. Because back in 2002 or 2004, the lore is intentionally a bit fuzzy there. Rawlings opened Gas Monkey Garage in Dallas.
And it was not some glamorous facility.
No, the physical space was this tiny, 1,200 square foot box. There was no heat, no air conditioning.
Only running water, which is crazy for a mechanic's shop.
Totally. And he funded it by selling off a printing company he owned. But from day one, before a single camera was ever present, the entire operation was engineered to be a television set.
He wasn't optimizing for, the most efficient automotive workflow.
Right. He was building a stage for a character.
And he engineered that character with this ruthless consistency. I mean, the aesthetic was completely non-negotiable.
Mark McNeely's orbit was black and orange.
Yeah. And the shop was perpetually, almost aggressively messy.
Yep. He sported his signature goatee and beard.
And then there's the logo, the Gas Monkey logo, which was, well, by his own admission, kind of dumb on purpose.
It's literally a cartoon monkey sticking its tongue out.
Right. And if you compare that to a sleek, high-end automotive crest.
Like a Ferrari horse or a Porsche shield.
Exactly. It makes absolutely no sense. But it was playful. It broke the rules of high-end car restoration.
And it burned itself into your brain. You don't forget the monkey.
You really don't. But that visual aesthetic was then layered over what the sources call his ultimate character trait.
Yeah, which the document highlights as perhaps the most brilliant piece of personal branding in the entire playbook.
His relationship with physical cash.
The cash ritual.
The cash ritual, yes. The sources share this incredible origin story for this. When Rawlings was 13 years old, a friend of his dad's told him something that stuck with him forever.
Son, you can buy a $10,000 car all day long for $5,000 if you have it in your pocket.
Which is such an old-school mentality. But he internalized that lesson so deeply that it became his defining operational ritual.
He always carries massive wads of physical cash.
The sources literally describe him as jangling when he walks.
I mean, just think about the sensory impact of that for a moment. You can hear him before you even see him.
It's an entrance.
Yeah. And when you do see him, he's slamming physical stacks of $100 bills on the hood of a rusted-out Mustang inside some dusty Texas barn.
It is visceral.
It creates immediate, tangible tension. There are stakes. It isn't just a sterile bank wire transfer.
Right, which is boring to watch.
Exactly. It's a guy risking a pocket full of money on a gut instinct.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is where my brain starts to push back a little on the whole character over craft idea.
Okay, lay it on me.
Well, we are always taught in business to strive for excellence, right? High-end perfection, the clean, minimalist branding, the frictionless professional transaction.
The standard corporate playbook?
Right. So let's test this in the real world. If I hire a plumber and he shows up to my house in a messy uniform with a goofy cartoon logo on his truck and a completely disorganized toolbox.
You're not thrilled.
No. I don't think to myself, wow, what a fascinating character. I think, this guy's going to ruin my pipes.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So where is the line between an engaging, memorable flaw and just being straight up unprofessional? Like, is making your flaw your logo actually a sustainable business model?
What's fascinating here is the underlying psychology of attention. And you've hit on the exact tension that makes this work.
Okay.
To answer your question, the baseline craft still has to be competent.
So plumber still has to fix the sink.
Exactly. Your pipes still have to get fixed, but perfect. Perfect is sterile. Perfect is forgettable.
It doesn't stick with you.
Right. People do not follow perfect businesses. They follow a character with a uniform, a catchphrase, and a ritual.
They want a story.
Yeah, and Rawlings realized early on that if you just produce a show about perfect torque specs and pristine engine rebuilds, you only capture a tiny, hyper-specific niche of hardcore car enthusiasts.
The gearheads.
Right. But he explicitly stated he wanted a brand that his wife and daughter would watch.
Which requires narrative, not just mechanics.
Precisely. To achieve mainstream attention, the craft, meaning the actual car restoration, had to become secondary to the character dynamics.
Which raises an important question, right?
Yeah.
How do you maintain the credibility of the craft while leading with character?
And Rawlings solved this beautifully by pairing himself with his exact opposite.
Oh, Aaron Kaufman.
Yes. You have Rawlings, who is the loud, cash-jangling, fast-talking hustler.
The hike man.
Yeah, and you pair him with Aaron Kaufman, the master mechanic. Aaron is quiet, thoughtful, heavily bearded. He's the guy who looks at a rusted frame and says, "This is too far gone, we can't do this."
He's the voice of reason.
Exactly. It creates instant narrative friction. One finds the deal, the other filters the reality of it.
I see.
The real lesson here is that the craft of fixing the car is merely the vehicle for the tension between those two characters.
Oh, that's good.
The craft proves they aren't frauds, but the character is what keeps you watching through the commercial break.
That makes total sense. So we have this physical blueprint from Dallas. The gritty garage, the non-negotiable uniform, the contrasting personalities, the visceral ritual of the cash.
The gas monkey formula.
Right. So now let's pivot and translate this Dallas muscle into digital armor.
This is where it gets really fun.
Because the source material maps this exact architecture onto a modern digital creator named Mickey Straut. If Rawlings is the physical case study, Mickey Straut is the digital evolution.
And this transition is where the strategy just reveals its sophistication. Mickey Straut isn't just running a single brand. He's running an interconnected ecosystem.
The playbook describes his model as 3 doors, 1 garage.
Yeah, he has taken the gas monkey blueprint and applied it to industries that most people would never, ever associate with reality TV tactics.
I was looking at this Mickey Straut ecosystem in the sources, and honestly, at first glance, it looks like complete chaos.
It really does.
You have an underground techno music project on one side, and high-ticket B2B enterprise cybersecurity on the other.
It makes no sense on paper.
It feels like we're looking at 3 different people. So to wrap my head around this 3 doors concept, I kept thinking of it like a high-end restaurant.
Oh, that's an interesting framework. Walk me through that.
Well, door number 1 in his ecosystem is called Schmidtstall.
Okay.
This is an industrial techno music project that operates at exactly 150 beats per minute.
Very specific.
Very. And what's wild is that it is totally faceless. There's no founder story, no vlog attached to it. It's just a raw, intense auditory space that basically sounds like a Berlin bunker.
Yeah, it's intense.
So in my restaurant analogy, door one is the kitchen. It's chaotic, it's hot, there's swearing. It's just pure, unadulterated craft happening behind closed doors.
That maps perfectly, actually. Schmidtstall is the product in its purest form. Just like Rawlings didn't tape his family photos to the fenders of the hot rods he built, Mickey Stark keeps his face completely off Schmidtstall.
It speaks for itself.
It is just pressure, steel, and rhythm.
Okay, so then you have door number two, which is Mickey Schrodt himself. This is the founder, the Richard Rawlings figure.
The personality.
Right, he's a photographer, a videographer, and a podcaster with over 100 episodes documenting his own grind. He shows the late-night editing sessions, the failures, the hustle.
The behind-the-scenes reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the celebrity chef in the analogy. He's the human element, the personality that makes you actually care about what's happening in that chaotic kitchen.
He provides the narrative context for the craft.
And then we get to door number three, which is where things get really wild.
The monetization engine.
Yes. Door number three is the Prosura CyberNight mic. This is his influencer brand on LinkedIn, focused entirely on cybersecurity and AI.
A completely different vibe.
Totally different. It targets chief information security officers, CISOs, and enterprise tech leaders.
The corporate crowd.
Yeah, so this is the dining room. It's the calm, expensive front of house where the rich corporate clients actually sit down, look at a menu, and pay for the experience.
That is an incredibly precise analogy. Door 3 is the monetizable extension of his world. It's the equivalent of the Gas Monkey Bar and Grill, right?
Yeah.
He is taking the aesthetic credibility built in the kitchen and by the chef and using it to sell high-ticket enterprise protection in the dining room.
So what does this all mean? Like, how in the world does the psychology of this actually work?
It's a leap, for sure.
If I'm a corporate CISO at a Fortune 500 company, worried about data compliance and server breaches, why am I responding to a guy who produces faceless industrial techno?
It seems totally disconnected until you look at the underlying machinery of B2B sales.
Okay.
Think back to Rawlings for a second. Rawlings used the raw, rebellious aesthetic of building dangerous hot rods to sell T-shirts, beer, and energy drinks to millions of people who would never, ever have the money to buy a custom car from him.
So the car wasn't the product.
He wasn't selling automotive parts. He was selling the feeling of the garage to guys sitting in cubicles.
He was selling an escape.
Exactly. Now apply that to Mickey Stedt. He uses the raw, industrial, high-pressure world of Schmidtstall to sell cybersecurity.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Because what is the actual daily life of a chief information security officer?
Yeah.
It's highly stressful, largely invisible work.
Right.
If they do their job perfectly, nothing happens and nobody notices. If they fail, their company's stock drops and they are on the front page of the news.
It is an incredibly thankless grind.
Completely. So standard cybersecurity marketing is incredibly dry. It's white papers about malware statistics. It's boring blue graphics.
Just corporate noise.
Yeah, and Mickey Sturt realized that CISOs don't want another white paper. They want their hidden struggle validated.
Wow.
By wrapping his cybersecurity consulting in an aesthetic of industrial defense, steel armor, and high-pressure techno, he is selling them the feeling of being a warrior in the trenches.
That's brilliant.
And he leverages a shared operational loop across all three doors to build that trust.
And the sources outline this loop right. It mirrors Gas Monkey perfectly.
Almost beat for beat.
Rawlings had a formula for every single episode of television. Find, build, flip, profit. He finds a rusted car in a barn, builds it in the shop, flips it at auction, and profits.
It's a reliable rhythm. And Mickey Stott uses the exact digital equivalent. Dig, produce, drop, promote.
Okay, walk me through that.
He digs for a vulnerability or an open port on a network. That's his version of the barn find. He produces a solution or a piece of digital armor. He drops that solution as highly stylized content on LinkedIn, and he promotes the result to his enterprise clients.
So the product is entirely different.
Right, but the rhythm of the business, the narrative tension of discovering a flaw and fixing it, is identical.
Which brings us to the rules of the digital silhouette.
Yeah.
We talked about Rawlings having the beard, the black and orange colors, the messy shop.
These non-negotiables?
Yeah. If you're building a digital empire, your character has to be just as visceral, just as distinct as a guy slanting cash on a hood in a Texas barn.
Absolutely.
And Mickey Stott's non-negotiables for Cybernight Mike are fascinating because they completely reject the standard playbook of his industry.
They reject it aggressively.
Right. If you look at standard cybersecurity influencers on LinkedIn, they literally all look exactly the same. It's a guy in a nice tailored suit, a banner with a blue padlock icon or like a digital globe, and posts full of corporate jargon.
It's safe, it's sterile, and it lacks any sort of silhouette. You just scroll right past it.
So Mickey Stoll engineered his own. His visual non-negotiables are steel gray and hazard yellow.
He completely abandons corporate blue.
Yeah. He utilizes night shoots for his video content. He films himself bathed in this harsh red light, giving everything this intense factory floor aesthetic.
It feels like an emergency room for servers.
And crucially, the persona of Cybernight Mike utilizes actual night helmet imagery. He isn't a padlock.
Yeah.
He is medieval armor translated into the digital age.
It's a very strong statement.
It is, and those visual cues are anchored by his auditory non-negotiable. Which brings us back to door number 1, the Schmidt-Stahl Techno Project.
Right.
The sources reveal why the music has to be exactly 150 beats per minute.
This is where the depth of the character really crystallizes.
Wait, I just connected the dots on the audio aesthetic you mentioned earlier when I was reviewing the notes for this.
Oh, yeah.
Here's where it gets really interesting. 150 BPM isn't just a stylistic musical choice because it sounds cool.
No, it's not random at all.
150 BPM is literal data. It is the exact tempo of a DDoS attack flooding a server's security logs.
Yeah. Let that sink in for a second.
That is insane.
For anyone who isn't a network engineer, a DDoS attack, a distributed denial of service, is essentially when a hacker uses a massive network of compromised computers to flood a single server with fake traffic.
They're just trying to overwhelm it and knock it offline.
Exactly. Think of it like a million fake delivery trucks all trying to pull into a single loading dock at the exact same millisecond.
That dock just gets paralyzed.
Right. Now, the server's firewall logs, every single time it rejects one of those fake trucks,
Okay.
when you take that massive rapid-fire data log of rejections and you map those timestamps onto a MIDI sequencer, it creates a rhythm.
Wow.
And that rhythm clocks in at exactly 150 beats per minute.
That is incredibly clever. He literally takes real firewall logs from active cyber attacks and turns them into industrial techno tracks.
It's art made from defense.
That is his digital equivalent of Rawlings jangling with wads of cash. It is an unforgettable character flex. Like, can you imagine a standard suit-wearing corporate consultant trying to copy that?
They can't. And if they tried, it would be instantly recognizable as inauthentic.
Right. It would just feel so fake.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is precisely why the character over the craft is the ultimate leverage in a crowded market.
Because you can't fake the character.
Yeah. When a company is looking to hire a cybersecurity expert, the baseline craft is assumed. They assume you know how to configure a firewall.
Just like you assume a mechanic knows how to use a wrench.
Right. But when they listen to a 150 BPM Schmidt-Stahl track, it literally sounds like a security operations center at 3 a.m. while under active attack.
It triggers this visceral, emotional reaction.
It proves that he doesn't just understand the technology on a theoretical level, he lives in the trenches of it.
He has made his intense, underground, anti-corporate edge his actual logo.
Yeah, he took 100 podcast episodes of grinding in the dark and turned them into an origin story.
It reminds me of Rawlings, getting rejected by television networks in Los Angeles for 8 straight years before finally landing a TV deal.
It's the same thing. The struggle isn't hidden away. The struggle is the character.
And that is why the digital silhouette is so phenomenally powerful.
It cuts through the noise.
Yeah. When an executive scrolls past Mickey Stret or Cybernight Mike on LinkedIn, they don't just see another generic tip about AI compliance.
No, they see the hazard yellow.
They see the stark steel gray. They subconsciously feel that 150 BPM pulse.
They immediately know whose universe they just stepped into.
The craft is the baseline, but the character is what forces them to stop scrolling.
It demands attention.
So let's bring this deep dive directly back to you listening right now. Whether you are building a personal brand on social media, scaling a side hustle, or honestly, just trying to establish your professional reputation in a crowded corporate office.
It applies everywhere.
It really does. You have to realize that perfection is your enemy. A pristine, flawless, completely sanitized facade gives people absolutely nothing to grab onto.
Just slippery. You need edges, you need
Yep.
texture, you have to give the audience a silhouette they can recognize in the dark.
Exactly. So ask yourself, what are your 3 non-negotiables?
Mm.
What is your professional equivalent of the Hazard yellow and steel gray?
What is your uniform?
And more importantly, what is your cash-in-pocket ritual? What is the thing you do, the way you operate, the deeply authentic quirk that is so distinctly you that nobody else in your industry could even try to pull it off without looking completely ridiculous?
That's the moat. That's your competitive advantage.
I want you to ask yourself point blank, what do people actually remember about you after they scroll past?
It is a critical question for anyone trying to build leverage today.
It really is.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought experiment to mull over on your own time.
All right, let's hear it.
We've spent this time talking about digital ecosystems and television sets, but I want you to imagine your brand, your professional identity as a physical room.
Okay, a physical room.
Yes. If someone just walked into that room right now and you weren't allowed to say a single word to them to explain what you do, what would that room instantly sound like?
Oh, that's a great question.
What would it smell like? What would the lighting look like? Would there be a 150 BPM pulse echoing off still walls?
Would there be this smell of oil and a stack of cash on a toolbox?
Right. Because if they walk in and it's just a blank, well-lit, quiet corporate office with a nice mahogany desk,
Yeah,
you don't have a character yet.
you just have a craft.
Exactly.
That is the perfect way to look at it. A blank room has no silhouette. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Go figure out what your room looks like, and we'll catch you next time.